You're watching the SCAC Player of the Week interviews. It's week 2 of the SCAC Women's Golf Circuit. Today we're joined by the SCAC Women's Golfer of the Week, Junior Reygan Rodriguez of the Schreiner University Mountaineers. And Reygan, first of all, congratulations and thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Reygan, you and the rest of your Schreiner teammates opened up the season last week at the Rockwind Links Invitational. Before we get into the specifics of that, I want to ask about just the start of the season. Finally getting into competition, your first tournament of the year. Are there still nerves, even though you're a junior, when you put the peg in the ground for the first time to open up the season? And how exciting and special is that first tournament each year?
It's actually really good. It's really nice to have the freshmen with us, so they get to start out. And it's honestly really exciting. This tournament, I feel like there weren't as many nerves because it's the first one of the year, and I think that's why my team and I were able to come out with the second place win.
Well, you mentioned, Reygan, that second place finish. This team fired rounds of 333 and 318 for a 651 stroke total, and good enough for a second place finish, as you mentioned. What impressed you the most from your overall team performance this past weekend that will give you and the rest of your teammates confidence heading into the rest of the year?
I was really impressed with how our team played, but what gives us hope is, first of all, our second place win coming off of last year. I think our highest finish was 3rd. So the second place felt really good. It gave us confidence in ourselves to know that we can do it.
Reygan, you talked a little bit about your individual confidence that was gained this past weekend. You fired rounds of 81 and 75 for a 156 total and a tie for second place individually overall. An outstanding weekend for you to open up your junior campaign. What part of your game was working well this past weekend? What was allowing you to execute out on the golf course for the Mountaineers?
It was definitely my short game. My short game is really what helped me shoot that 75 because I'm really confident in my short game. So if I missed a green, I wasn't really freaked out about it. I was like, really, it's just a chip up and a putt in. So I felt super confident around the greens. I wasn't really nervous. The greens rolled really true to the roll, so that really helped a lot.
Again, you're watching the SCAC Player of the Week interviews. It's week 2 of the 2018 Fall Women's Golf Circuit. We're joined this week by the SCAC Women's Golfer of the Week, Junior Reygan Rodriguez of the Schreiner University Mountaineers. And Reygan, as I mentioned, now in your junior season there at Schreiner, this is a pretty veteran-led team, 4 upperclassmen and just 2 freshmen. How have you maybe seen your role change a little bit this year as a junior with a couple of years of experience? Do you feel like maybe you're leaned on more in that responsibility role?
I do believe so. We do have an older team, as you said, so I feel like it's really important for juniors and seniors both to lead for our freshmen. And I think that it's really important to know, to let the freshmen know that it's not just the seniors that can lead the team, it's anybody. So it also lets them know that if they play well, they can lead the team. I feel like it's really important for year that you're here not to matter so much as your game and your confidence.
Golf is certainly a unique sport, Reygan, in terms of sort of the dynamic out there where there is the team aspect of it, but when you're on the course, you're kind of playing as an individual. How do you individually sort of gain momentum out there on the course without maybe having teammates around in a different sort of way as there are in other team sports there?
Well, over here at Schreiner, one of our big things is not being a selfish player and is actually playing team golf when you're out there on the course. So it's more of making sure your decisions are going to have a good outcome versus a bad outcome. So if I'm sitting there and, my mentality is not always going to be to go for it. Because when you always want to go for it, that's when you can get yourself into trouble. So sometimes the smartest and best decision for your team is to lay up. I know on a couple holes I had to lay up, but I was super confident in my short game, so I knew that I would still be able to get the par or the birdie from the hole. So it's not necessarily an individual sport if you have the right mentality.
And finally, Reygan, you and the rest of your teammates back to action this weekend as you head over for the University of Houston Victoria Fall Invite. A big opportunity for this group just to continue to build off of this early season momentum. What are your expectations heading into the weekend, Reygan, and what will be key for this team just to carry over that momentum?
I'm really hoping that we can come out with another win. I really want everybody to feel super confident in their game, and I feel like if we can just have the mentality of the no pressure, I feel like that is what's going to set us apart from other teams. Is we're going out there with no expectations. I feel like that's the biggest part of golf, is because when you have an expectation and a set number, when you're out there, it kind of diminishes your mentality a little bit because you know where you stand at a certain point. So I feel like for us, the biggest thing is really just having confidence in ourselves and not going out there with the set expectation, just doing what you can do on the course.
Native of Odessa, Texas, this week's SCAC Women's Golfer of the Week, Junior Reygan Rodriguez of the Schreiner University Mountaineers. Reygan, again, congratulations on your honor and best of luck as you continue to march forward throughout your junior campaign.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.